Welcome back to my new video. This video is going to be on Kubernetes config maps. So a config map is an API object used to store non-confidential data in key value pairs. So pods can consume config maps as environment variables or command line arguments or as configuration files in a volume. So once you define your config maps, you can create a volume, and those volumes can consume the config maps configuration data. Okay, so config map allows you to decouple environment specific configuration from your container images so that your applications are easily portable. So you want to decouple the application so you have config maps objects separate from your application. So your application is just going to consume the configuration information. And once the configuration information changes, your pod or your application will adjust to those changes. Unlike if you declare your configuration information inside your pod, it means that each time you need to change those configuration or environment variables, you need to alter the settings in that deployment or in that pod. But the only thing you have to do if you want to decouple this scenario is to make sure that you declare all your environment variables in your config maps so that in any time these value changes, you can easily go in there and do those changes. So as you can see, I have one example here. This is a typical declaration of config map. You can see the kind is what config map, and then the metadata name is game demo, and then the data option, that is where you have the key value pairs. Okay, so you have player initial lives is 3, and then UI properties file name is user interface dot properties, and then the game dot properties also have its key value pairs. With secret, I'm going to do a separate video in secret, how to use secret, but this video I'm just going to concentrate just on config maps. So config maps can be your database host. Anything that you feel is static, is non-confidential, and you want to inject those information into your pod, you declare them inside config maps. So let's jump into my terminal so I can show you how you can make use of config maps. So I'm inside my terminal. So let's check our Kubernetes cluster is working. Get nodes. Okay, so that is 2 nodes from Azure Kubernetes services. So I'm going to create, let me see if I already have any config maps declared. Get config maps. Okay, so I think I have one in there that I declared myself 8 minutes ago. So I'm going to create a new one, which I'm going to call kubectl create config map. I'm going to call this database host. Okay, and then I'm going to pass in these flags from literal is equal to db-host is equal to let me call it localhost colon 3306. And then I think I'm going to use the default namespace. And let me pipe this to YAML, and then redirect it to db-config.yaml. Okay, so if I look inside my directory, this is the db-config.yaml file that I just created, so I can cut it. And so this is the definition of a typical YAML file. You have the API version, and then you have the data, and then under the data has the key value pairs, and then the kind is what ConfigMap, and the name is what database host, namespace is default, and ignore this random generated information. So once I do that, I can apply it. I can say kubectl apply -f db. Always make this mistake. kubectl apply -f db-config.yaml. So once I apply this, okay, so I think it's created. So let me check if it's working. Get config maps. Okay, it's created. I don't know why this warning, but it's fine. It's the missing annotation will be patched automatically. Okay, don't worry about the warning, but as you can see, it's being created here. Let me look at the white version. Okay, so let's describe this config map. kubectl describe config map database-host. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the localhost colon 3306. Okay. We can also get kubectl get config maps, and then we can say the output should be JSON path, and then you can say data how did I call it? DB. Okay, let me run it first and see how I named it. Okay, so I think I named it. I think I named it DB host, I guess. Okay, let me describe it again. Okay, it's for DB host. Okay, no problem. Let's also try this. I can do this passing get config maps, and then the name of the config map is database -host, and then we output it as JSON path. Okay, so as you can see, this is the localhost colon 3306. You see, as you can see above, that's the value. Okay. So we can also output this as a JSON, output it as JSON. Then I hit enter. You see, the output is a JSON. And you can see the data part with the key and then the value. Okay. So this key value pair is what we are going to inject into our pod or our deployment. So once you reference the name of the config map and then you pass in the key, then it's going to retrieve the value from the config maps. So this is how you hide non-sensitive data inside your Kubernetes clusters so that your deployments can consume this information. So anytime that you want to add extra or additional configuration, you can just edit this config map and then you apply it, and then automatically your deployment will reference it or consume it. You can also create this configuration from a file. So let's look at this UI.properties. So let's cut UI.properties. So these are the key value pairs in that file. So we can use this file and then apply it to a config map. So we're going to say kubectl create config map, and then we can call it UI-app, and then we can say from -file is equal to UI.properties. Okay, so this is how you can apply a file to a config map. So let's run this. Okay, so let's get all config maps. Get config maps, get config map, and then we're calling it UI. Okay, get config map. So as you can see, we have UI app, database host, and capital city. Okay, so let's describe this. kubectl describe config map UI app. So as you can see, these are the key value pairs. So assuming we want color good. Color good. So we're going to say, let me clear the screen and okay, so we say kubectl get config map UI app, and then we want the outputs as well, JSON path dot data dot UI dot properties. Okay, so let's run this and see what we get. Okay, let me see dot color dot good. Okay, so not sure why it's not showing. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so let me take out everything. Okay, so it returns a dictionary with key value pairs. Okay, so I think that's what we're getting. Let me see without the UI properties. Let me see if we can. Okay, so yeah, I think the naming is the issue or something like that. But you get the idea. So I don't think you have any problem with what I have done so far. So let me describe again. Yeah, so I think when you declare it as a properties file, you are not able to get the key value pairs directly using the JSON path, but it's all good. I think that is all I have for this tutorial. If you have any question, any confusion, any suggestions, you can leave them in the comment section box, and then I'll try as much as possible to get back to you. Until then, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.